daughters. I have twin daughters graduated in 2011. And one of my daughters. Okay. You're warming them up. Yeah, but it's good to sign it anyway. Get on this ban list. Anyway, so I do it for my twin daughters. One of them graduated. One of them was actually on the school board where I was in high school from 2010.
Well, that alone is straight against her, but you know, of course.
Tried to find out which side of See Me you were on. He says you're on the good side of See Me. I need a little bit more time before I find out exactly what the good side of See Me is. But anyway, it's very nice to meet you.
It's a nice turnout here.
Yeah, and nice location. My goodness, this is like a perfect location. Couldn't ask for nicer than this. Okay. Well, it looks like it has a very nice lens on it, that's for sure. Starters. But it looks a little old school, if I may say so. Is it such an amazing that I can tell? That's all right.
If you want to learn how to fool with it, folks, if you could start to move toward the chairs over there, that would probably be when you get started. When you have a few moments, check in and move over toward the chairs.
Is that when they do? Right here.
Find a place to sit down.
A friend of mine, Judy Gittleson, they used to do art shows there.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I heard your...
I was just talking to Penny, and she has her daughter just started to.
Let's get out of the way.
Nice pretty.
Okay. Welcome. On behalf of Councilmember Tom DuBois, I welcome you to this re-election campaign for a second term. We'll soon hear from Tom, but first I have the honor of announcing folks that have joined us that are elected officials, and that would be starting with the Honorable Joe Simidian, President of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. We also have Eric Filson, our own Vice Mayor. Karen Holman of the City Council. Lydia Koo of the City Council. Adrian Fry in the back, tall man in the back there. City Council. And Greg Schmidt, former Vice Mayor of City Council. Did I miss anybody? That's the important question. No? Good teamwork over there. So before introducing the first in the series of real speakers this afternoon, I just want to take a minute to personally thank Tom for his productive work on critical issues in the first term, and particularly call out how he stayed just consistently committed to his core platform of reasonable growth and what I like to call real affordable housing, and among other issues. So whether it's fighting to control the jobs housing imbalance to get more housing in here, or looking for ways to have a fair renter protection system, or protecting small businesses so that it doesn't go to high-priced offices, He's done that. Maybe most importantly, the crucial thing that I want to point out is that, like other council members, he works across the aisle, as they say in national politics, and makes compromises on key issues with his colleagues so that we get real work done. With the issues that we have before us in the next 4 years, his approach is just critical in my position to removing potential gridlock and really getting the stuff done that needs to get done here. So thank you for that, Tom. Okay, now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce to you a two-term council member and former mayor, Karen Holman. She's had a distinguished career of service to Palo Alto going back to multiple terms on the Planning and Transportation Commission. Luckily, when her term is up at the end of this year, she does not plan to retire from public service to Palo Alto and beyond, because she's now a candidate for the open seat on the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District Board of Directors. So Karen, thank you for all your service to Palo Alto so far. And here you go.
Thank you very much, Ed. So the introducer needs a little bit of introduction. So Ed is actually the current chair, and not quite sure how many years member of the Palo Alto Planning and Transportation Commission. And thank you for your service, Ed. So I've served on the City Council with Tom DuBois now for almost 4 years. And what I know and can say about Tom is that he shows up. He shows up to work for you. I guess that's really kind of all you need to know. But to put a little bit more meat on that bone, you know, we had a colleague's memo a few years ago to initiate town hall meetings. And we had them for a couple of years, and Tom was there. We haven't had them for a couple of years now. They've kind of slipped off the radar, and we're trying to get those restarted again. But so consider this the restart of our town hall meetings in Palo Alto. So when Evergreen Park neighborhood really was trying to do something and get something initiated to address the commercial parking overflow into their neighborhood, Tom was there. Tom initiated with a colleague's memo and with colleagues the initiation of a residential permit parking program. That's how Tom shows up. Renter protections. Tom, it's a very difficult, complex, complicated, challenging topic, but recognizing that we have a community that is being more and more challenged by high rents, rent increases, and losing people who serve our community, our teachers and such. Tom was the lead on a renters protection colleagues memo. Tom was there. Unfortunately, that dialogue was cut short, but we are going to be bringing that forward again in the near future. It's been submitted to staff, and staff will be bringing that on to council. Tom supported the affordable housing overlay. Tom was there. Minimum wage. He's been a supporter of minimum wage for employees and ground floor retail protections for employers. These are complex times. Retailers are challenged, but one of the biggest challenges they face in Palo Alto is that other uses can pay higher rents than can our retail uses. So Tom was there to help forward a ground floor retail protections ordinance. Tom was there. Social services are really critical to the values of this community, and we're very fortunate to have many, really almost untold number of nonprofits and social services organizations that serve this community. Tom's time on council, he has been liaison to a number of these nonprofits. He has also been an advocate for increasing what's known as the HISRAP, or social services funding, in our city budget. Joe Simidian knows that topic well and knows that charge well and knows the challenge as well. It's a budget item that, frankly, we just never have gotten it back up to where it should be. But Tom is one of the people that, thankfully, I can say, works with me and others to try to get that HISRAP funding back up to really where it should be. Tom was there. Senate Arts. If you remember just a couple of years owners of that complex have not renewed the lease for Senate Arts. We're working on trying to get a hold of the right people and how to make persuasive conversations and meeting with these people to get a lease extended for Senate Arts Theater. And we were having some success. We were having, meetings with people who are local. But Tom was the one that found our contact out of state who really could make these decisions, could make things move forward. As a result of that, we have an extended lease on the Senate Arts Theater at Page Mill Square. Tom was there. The environment is another topic that I don't think is getting very much play in this campaign. Having run a couple of times before, 3 times before actually, I look back over 30-some years. Joe could probably support this. Look back over 30-some years of campaign statements, candidate statements. The environment is almost always one of the prominent and predominant topics. It seems to be not getting quite the notice and support that should these days. But Tom has been there to support the completion of the Baylands, the new golf course. He's been there for the Parks Master Plan, the City Sustainability Plan, and recently for the Anti-Idling Ordinance. Tom was there. Tom is smart, analytical, does his homework, and he sits up straight. He's a man of good humor, and he has the temper to be a successful council member, which I would say he has been to this point. He bases his decisions on data as well as heart, and it takes both to be an informed and compassionate leader. It really takes both to be a compassionate and successful leader. He brings the values that he carries to the dais. He shows up every week for you. And this community, he's eager to take on another 4 years on our behalf, and why would we even hesitate to show up for him? And so today, Tom has shown up in this forum, in this stage, and I ask you to please warmly and generously welcome Tom DuBois, candidate for another 4 years of City Council.
Thank you, guys. I'm truly honored that so many of you showed up today. First, I really want to thank my campaign team, especially Rita Burrell, Pat Markovich, and Annette Klankoff, who couldn't be here today, but they helped arrange this kickoff event. And then some other people have been working very hard. Jen Kupras, Sherry Furman, Masako Yukota, Jeff Greenfield, Pat Burt, Sally Bemis, Greg Schmid, Hamilton Hitchings, and the people speaking today. So you heard from Ed Lowing, Karen Holman, and we're going to hear from Winter Dellenbach a little bit. And everybody else that's been helping out on the campaign. It's been tremendous to see the support. So I see a lot of familiar faces here. I think you guys, you know me, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time on my background. So I grew up in a big city. Huge city of Cortland, Ohio, population 5,000. We did have running water, and we did have more than one stoplight in town. Both of my parents were educators. My father was a principal and then a superintendent. He was a deacon in the church. And serving the community has come naturally to me. I'm a father. I have 2 wonderful children. They went to our Palo Alto public schools. And I've worked hard on my career. I have a background in electrical engineering and an MBA. I've been an entrepreneur. I've started several companies. I've been CEO a couple of times. And I work on product strategy at Google now. But I also made time along the way to volunteer. And when my kids were young, I volunteered in the schools, in the classrooms. I supported the music programs. I coached several sports teams over the years. And then as the kids started getting older, I got more involved in my neighborhood association and started getting involved in city issues. I've lived all over the world. I've lived in big cities and small cities. I've been a homeowner. I'm currently a renter. And I've spent the last 4 years working for you on City Council. And I've tried to focus on what's best for the residents and really trying to enhance our quality of life. I value honesty, transparency, fact-based decision-making, and I've brought those qualities to council, and I've done my best to make things better for all of us. And overall, Palo Alto is a fantastic city. I think we all know that. Crime is low, our emergency services are great, our roads are good. Even our utilities are innovative and competitive. And we have a lot of great city services. We just started rebuilding our children's museum. We have the children's theater, Winter Lodge. We have 5 new and restored libraries. And the golf course is amazing. If you haven't been out there, it really is pretty incredible. And for a city of 67,000 people, we really kind of punch above our weight. We often lead on policies around sustainability and the environment. This is a pretty remarkable place. And keeping it so is a challenge and a responsibility that I take seriously. And you really don't know what you don't know going in. I've learned a tremendous amount being on council. I'm proud of what the 9 of us have accomplished in the 4 years that I've been there. And I've been looking back when I campaigned 4 years ago, and I delivered on many of the things that I set out to do. So I'm just going to read quickly through a list of some of the proudest accomplishments. So we saved the Buena Vista Mobile Home Park, which is home for 400 people. We kind of led the charge on that. You heard I authored some colleagues memos, unapproved renter protections. I think I wrote with Pat Bird the memo on raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We have a memo now for labor contract transparency, so how we negotiate with our unions, residential parking permits, and we've been trying to reduce commuter intrusion into neighborhoods. I've also focused a lot on water issues while I've been on council. I wrote a memo to transfer some of our unneeded water allocation to our neighbors in East Palo Alto. And for years, East Palo Alto has had a historically small allocation of water. And I've also been working with the Santa Clara Water District on bringing funding to Palo Alto to purify our recycled water. We passed the accessory dwelling ordinance to provide more housing. We passed a affordable housing overlay. And I've been continuing to lead the way on fiber to the home, broadband internet. And it's been slow. For a while, we thought Google was going to bring it. Google backed out. But we do have a business plan coming to council soon. We restarted and completed the comp plan in essentially 3 years. And for me, I kept our focus on our parks, our neighborhoods, and schools. And we also cut down on exceptions. So we ended PC zoning, which was a hot topic 4 years ago. We slowed the growth of office development, trying to blunt the pressures for housing, traffic, and parking. So we've done a lot, but I'm here asking for your vote and your support because there's still a lot more to do. Thank you. So I think you deserve to know where candidates stand, and I want to share with you some of the specific priorities that I want to tackle in the next 4 years. So get comfortable as I go through my 147-point plan in detail. Nah, just kidding. There's only 35 points before the intermission. So first I want to talk about housing. As we talked about, I think we need to really strengthen protections for renters. We need to limit office growth and office density, and part of that is really to create space for housing and look at potentially rezoning some of our office into residential to really address the imbalance we have as a commuter town. I think we need to focus on below market rate housing with our limited city funds, basically because nobody else is going to do it. So, I'd like to see the Ventura plan include a good amount of BMR housing, which I think would be a huge boost to retaining a diverse population. We need to protect and upgrade the existing low-income housing that we have, and I think we need to encourage Stanford to house more of their staff. Secondly, in terms of transportation and traffic, We really need businesses to help fund local transportation issues, including grade separations with Caltrain. We need to involve the community more in the discussion. So definitely heard you on Ross Road. We need to communicate better and consider alternatives. And we need to focus again on vehicle flow on our arterials. We need to make sure those arterials are functioning so that we don't get people cutting through local streets, through neighborhoods. And we need to continue to work on reducing parking intrusion into neighborhoods. Third, we really want to keep our city and school district working well together. I mean, historically, the city has done a lot to support the schools. We need to continue to work together on safe routes to school, traffic guards, or middle school sports programs, and safety on the train tracks. But we also need to start engaging seriously on Coverly. Coverly is a huge opportunity, not just for South Palo Alto, but the whole city. And we need to make sure that we can really create resources for the school, community center, and then a bunch of shared services like the playing fields, the art studios. And I'd really like to see us include more senior services at Coverly. We need to get teacher housing built. And again, I want to thank Joe. He's brought a very cool project to us to build more teacher housing near the courthouse. And again, I think the city and the school district need to be united on the Stanford expansion and to make sure that the impacts in the public schools are funded. Only two more. So fourth, we need to invest in the community. So we have a large infrastructure plan underway in Palo Alto. We are building a lot of buildings. And as you work in government, you realize it's hard to get stuff done. And we really need to follow through on the promises that we've made the community and make sure these buildings get built on time and on budget. We started construction, we're picking up steam. So we're working on 2 firehouses, a police station, a bike bridge over 101, 2 parking garages, the Baylands Interpretive Center, and the design for rebuilding a Coverly has begun. We got to get the History Museum funded. Palo Alto is ground zero for Silicon Valley. We're almost there, but we got to get the museum done. We need to revitalize the animal shelter. And there's some land owned by AT&T that I think the city should purchase to improve Bulware Park in Ventura. And the fifth thing I want to talk about was openness and transparency in government. I think it's critical. We have to speak up to protect the integrity of the process and ensure that all voices are heard. Finding compromises that serve the residents of Palo Alto has been my focus. I've worked hard to improve lots of council actions, either through proposals or amendments, and I've gotten the majority of the council to adopt those. I do speak up when necessary, since I did on the comp plan, to protect the work of citizens who forged some really hard compromises, and they spent hours and hours working on the comp plan. And I think we ended up in a bit better place because I did speak up. So being in public office, you can find yourself accused of many things. But one thing I haven't been accused of is not doing my homework. So I work hard, I prepare, I listen. And so what I hear the voters saying is we need to preserve our housing and we need to build more housing. I haven't had one person tell me that we need more office workers. So I think it's time that we try to get back to our small company, innovative startup roots. Yeah, and it can be hard. It can be hard for residents to be heard. You can be drowned out by commercial interests with big money and influence. And so, I want to say our community. This is a community. It's not a piggy bank. And so I'm here to stand up for Palo Alto. During the recent debate on the Citizens Initiative on the rate of commercial growth, the city manager said something I actually found compelling. He said that through the foresight of our council that Palo Alto had kind of bucked the trend. We didn't follow everyone else and put up tall office buildings along the bay. We protected the Baylands. we protected the foothills, and we put in parks and libraries, and we became a very desirable place to live. So I think it's important that we remember that and we embrace it. We could easily blend into the mega city that is the Bay Area, and instead we can kind of remain a unique oasis. So we're an oasis of good schools and good senior centers, an oasis of strong neighborhoods and engaged citizens, an oasis of diversity and progressiveness. So I love Palo Alto, and I hope you'll re-elect me to be your council representative.
One more year. Let's go, Palo. That's good. Let's go.
We're supposed to come back like 2 weeks later with a bigger discussion. Yeah, I think the city attorney says this is kind of more relocation is kind of the current focus.
You have to stand behind your folks. It's a really important factor. Such as LSAC coverage, that we can have coverage.
You don't have much coverage. We can do a realtor, but they're going to have 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's well, that's a tough question. But what are we going to do about Churchill, for instance? You use it, I use it.
The gang
Do we
should
close
be,
it?
No, I'm sorry.
Do we make it bicycles only?
Yes, I have.
What's that?
Discussion.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a new concept here, right? Sort of. Oh, yeah, we'll continue to function.
Government agencies, there's very much that. I just have one question. You can't say that outside forces shouldn't help with the city when it's not doing what it's told. It's not local versus state as a bias.
I need to put a button on it.
Talk to me. Tell me why you're voting for Tom DuBois.
Wait, do you want me to put a Tom button on it?
Let's put a, let's do the full marketing.
Okay, there we go.
Your start date. You started?
Just started this past week.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And are you on a tenure track?
Well, it's generally a 2-year.
Yeah, I know that's a, but if you do your 2 years and you get tenure, then you are good.
Yep.
Good for you.
Exactly.
And your remind me what your subject is?
Social studies.
Yeah. My father was a social studies teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He taught at Palo. And fortunately, I had lived with my mother, and then I came out here to live with my dad and my stepmother for my first year at Palo. Fortunately, that was the year we had taken a sabbatical, so I didn't have to start my Palo Alto high school experience, bumping into my father in the hall. But after that, I did the last 2 years. Saying, hard to, as I would walk down the hall, and it was awkward because, the teachers I had him as a colleague, and
I was thrilled to get hired as an administrator. Dream come true. Good. So much fun. I did my student teaching at Palo last year. Good. Teaching at Palo, and such a fun experience. It's so weird being in the school, teaching in the school that you went to yourself. That awkward for me.
No, that part was.
Well, I'm a teacher of teachers at San Jose State, and my concern is that Stanford's been getting away with murder for the last 30, 40 years in terms of not providing teachers or its own faculty or students with adequate housing. So I'm hoping that 3,000 or 4,000 figure is tripled so that we get a little bit of low-income housing from these folks because they've had such an advantage. And, you know, I think that Palo Alto's been in the pocket of Stanford for far too long.
Well,
and I'm an undergrad.
It's all going to come to a conclusion here, I think, in the next 6 months, because we're at the point now in the review process where the environmental impact report is going to be released next month.
I think Ruben Abrica, the mayor of East Palo Alto, suggested 4,500. I'm with Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and we said 10,000, not beds, but 10,000 units.
Well, we're going to have the meetings. We've actually gotten. I don't think we've ever done this before. I've got an agreement to have a meeting here in Palo Alto for public comment, so that people are not, trying to ask people, who care.
Right.
Would you please come down to the County Government Center at 9:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, a weekday? Is all. So we're going to do an evening meeting in Palo Alto from 6 to however, and hopefully people will come. But it's going to be important. I'm quite serious about it. It's going to be important that you come because I've got 4 colleagues who do not represent this area, and that's not a criticism. They don't know. Just like I don't know as much about Gilroy as they do. Fine, they'll need to hear directly from people. So, all right.
Gotta get this. Yeah, that's an issue. They don't everything, but it's a never big story. Really? I'm going to get it. You got my message. You got a big bullet.
No matter what else. What's that? He's pretty regionally famous, but I love Joey Pizziali, but I only met him like 5 years ago. I've known him his whole life, right? Yeah, that's so cool. So even though I don't always agree with you, I always like this about you. Right.
I have a bone to pick. I have a bone to pick.
No matter what they say, I always tell people, you always, for me, do you remember the year that you and I were both putting ice cream together? Yeah.
I have a bone to pick.
Spend a lot of money, most likely to spend a lot of money. And that's still not Tango's old.
I need to get your
comment
email.
in the paper. I didn't read the article saying that movies on Crazy Rich Asians say that the nation from the Asians were one of the biggest income disparities anywhere else.
I'm sure I do.
His attack on
Okay, Tom.
Because it'd be nice, because I'm trying to get this, and it can be, you can think of where you want it to be, but I'll email you guys. And you could maybe do it near Casti or something. I don't know. But I think we're trying to get a lot of different types of people, ages and whatnot.